So you are trying everything, to succeed. Let's just say in business, because this is pretty much what I can talk about, because I have experienced, a lot of stuff trying to, make my business succeed, trying to, go with my creativity, trying to pursue my dreams, And in doing that, I have actually experienced a lot of stuff, and they're the kind of things that I actually want to talk about. For some of us, you are struggling, putting in the input, you are locking in, and nothing seems to be working. And you are asking yourself, where could the problem be? Why are things not, moving the way they ought to move? And you're not so sure what, is exactly the problem. And of course, you're watching a lot of YouTube videos, following a lot of, self-help gurus, they're trying to propose to you that yes, you need to change the input. Take a look at the strategy you are using. Perhaps, you are trying to sell something or a product that people don't need. Yes, in as much as all this, advice are good, I also want to share, one thing I did do when I was, pushing and seeing that I wasn't making any headway, And for some of us, it might just be what you need, something that you've never really tried. One of those things I did was to change the people I was hanging out with. This could pretty much be one of those things holding you back. And sometimes the people you are hanging out with could be very, very important people in your life. I'm talking about your siblings, it could be your parents, it could be your loved ones. If you are so convinced that yes, there is something within you that you need to bet to life, there's that seed within you, the seed of greatness. You are so convinced about it. The problem is that majority of the time, the people around you will not be able to see this conviction that you have. And sometimes you're going to be wasting time trying to explain yourself over and over and again, telling them, look, I've got this thing within me. It's going to be great. I'm going to be somebody. Nobody's going to believe you, because it is just the way, the nature of greatness. Sometimes this thing that you are carrying is just supposed to be for you, and it's supposed to be for you alone. Of course, sometimes we try to, carry people along, to carry our parents along, try to explain to your mom, I don't want to go to school because I figured out a way to actually, make money on my own terms. It's a better way, a more reliable way. They're not going to be able to believe it. They're going to be taking a look at you as that little child from yesterday. And you're going to be wasting a lot of time trying to explain to them. And it could even be your friends. You guys are hanging out together previously, and suddenly you want to try to break away from the fold. You want to try to do something different. They're going to be wondering, why don't you ever hang out with us again? And if you are not careful, if you are still hanging out with these people, gradually they're going to try to dissuade you from whatever dream that you have. And that might be the very problem that you might be passing through. And one way to break out of that might be for you to change your location. Say to yourself, look, this thing I'm carrying within me is pretty much greater than this friendship. It's greater than all these people I'm hanging out with. I want to move to a new location where you can actually be able to control your environment, because sometimes it could just be that there's so much negativity around you, and this negativity kind of preventing you from getting to the next phase of your greatness. And sometimes when you walk away, you go out and start all over again, you have the opportunity to take charge of your environment, create an environment of positivity, an environment where you'll be able to say, you know what, this is an environment of growth, and it's going to be like that. Then you're able to lock in, you're able to put in the right actions that you have to put in, be able to, free yourself from every distraction that might be just holding you back from getting to your next level of greatness. And that, my friends, I'm telling you, if you are able to do that, that might just be the missing puzzle in all these things that you are doing. When I changed certain things about, my life, I realized that things became lighter, things became easier, and I was able to take charge of my environment. I was able to even now lock in more than ever before. Distractions were gone. And this way, I was able to, really stay focused, observe the patterns, because sometimes your ability to observe patterns, see what's working, see what's not working, you can't really do that sometimes if you're in a very charged and negative environment. Sometimes you just need a bit of quietness. You need some really, really positive environment to be able to sit down and say, look, I have noticed that each time I do this, something works. It moves the needle, and you're able to double down. Because sometimes before you even double down, if you're in a wrong environment or you a wrong circle of friends or stuff like that, before you double down on something, you already get an invite. Come, let's go to some party, let's go to drink, let's go play football, let's go hang out. And before you know it, you are not able to really follow through to that which you are trying to, lock on. And if you're not careful, you miss the pattern and it's gone for good. But if you are alone, if you say to yourself, I want to take charge of my environment, I want to be in a place where I can actually be in charge. You're able to sit down, observe the pattern, take a look at what is working, observe those things that you are doing that have been holding you back, that have been preventing you from actually moving forward, and you are able to kind of double down on the thing that works. It might just go a long way to helping you. I feel like sharing this to somebody out there. If that person is you, please go ahead, do me a favor, click on the like button, and if you are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and be subscribed. But if you feel like this is also not something that makes a lot of sense, let me also know in the comment section what you think. Until I see you again in the next video, peace.